after it being made. Other times you get a large section sort of almost drop out, by which time you see them being bound over by linen whipping. Anyway, so no name on that, but it just says putter, in case anybody was any doubt what it's actually for. This is another less common. I guess you might even put this in the sort of scarce category. So this says Foster Brothers of Ashbourne, who were a sporting retailer. Ashbourne being in Derbyshire, in the Midlands of England. And it has a sort of squarish section hosel. And I don't know if there's a crack in this, so I'll just turn that round and see. No, can't see any crack. They tend to have, this model has this hatch crisscross face, and they tend to have a slug of lead in the toe. That's what you can see there. So yeah, and these are actually, the model number of the putter is the bogey. Why they would actually, well, if you research online, you'll find a lot of written up about the term bogey in golf and who invented it and why and all the rest of it. But it was actually almost a compliment to call somebody a bogey golfer, whereas now it's probably not so much so. Although I don't mind a bogey, to be fair. Right, so onward. Again, that's probably, I don't know what year these actually came in, maybe as early as 1910. Then we've got probably one of the most common Hickory antique putters you will see, which is made by William Mills. And this one, I think, says, let me just see if I can pick that up, the new Mills Ray model, and the weight, medium lie. They came generally, I believe, in flat, medium and upright lies. Somebody out there in YouTube land might be able to educate me if they had any more different lies, and the weight of the head. So you would make a note of that. So if your putter got lost or broken, you could order one exactly the same. They tend to have a crisscross face. This one has obviously seen a lot of life. And given that it has got a lot of dints and dents on it, it still has a complete hosel. So they weren't all bad. They did last, and there's lots of these out still in existence. Usually had a slug or two of lead in the back to add a bit of weight. And yeah, they tend to have quite an upright face. So I've known a lot of Hickory golfers play successfully with these. Then moving on, we have this model, which people might have seen around, and can be pronounced, I guess, two ways, either Schenectady or Schenectady. Depends whether you're a local of New York State, I guess. So, Schenectady's centre shaft putters, invented in about 1903, 1904, and then used by Walter Travis to win, I believe, the 1903 and 1904, well, the 1903 US Amateur and the 1904 English or British Amateur, I think it was. At which point the people at the R&A Golf Club decided that they didn't like centre shafted golf clubs. There were other centre shafted long range clubs that were creeping into use, and so, but it took them until 1910 to ban any centre shafted clubs. That's the R&A. They were still allowed for competition use in the US. Eventually the R&A allowed them from 1951, I think it was. So anyway, Schenectady's are nice to play with. Some were made by the Mills Company. I don't know if that one's got actually any maker's marks on it. Can't see anyway. And again, it's got a good hosel, so perfectly usable. Right, so we're getting up to the 1920s, and I would think that all of these putters that I'm going to show next were 1920s, early 1930s clubs used with balls much like this. So this one is very distinct click marks if you've seen these on any clubs. Grampian range, which is mountains, and this one on the left hand side there in funny Gothic writing says Ben Lomond, which is a mountain in Fife in Scotland, sold by Pearson of Wortley Golf Club in Sheffield, and holes on the top there you can just about pick out. Quite a low profile head, and in fact I've seen indeed full sets of Grampian range, which I believe were Gibson of Kinghorn produced. So very nice putter. And then I've included this one, but although it's got battered a bit, this, and it actually says Harrower's patent on the left hand side there. It has the knight in armour cleek mark of Cochrane's of Edinburgh, and stamped Cochrane's of Edinburgh, and it's in this material. It says rustless. Sometimes you see them stamped monal, M-O-N-E-L, monal metal, and in fact if I was to polish that up it would come up gleaming like brass, but this one's a little bit dull. I think the Harrower's patent refers to the length of the hosel here. It's a bit shorter than normal, and putters of this shape were very, very common. So it has an increasing depth here and slants off like that. Okay. There was a putter called the Gem. Nicol of Leven made lots of gems, and they are nice putters to use. They've got an offset back head and not too much loft. So that's that one. Again, 1920s I'd suggest. And then it's got to be one of the most successful and putters with a high degree of longevity, and that it was produced for many, many decades, is this Ben Sayers groove sole. Sometimes I think they're called Bennies. Benny putter on it. They have ridges on the bottom. I think from memory there's 23, but I can't remember exactly. Might be wrong on that one. Offset head. This one has a smooth face. Some have line faces. Square shaft on and a square grip. And these are very nice to play with. Very popular with Hickory golfers, I found over the years. And finally, a Spalding Calamity Jane with Bobby Jones's name, Robert Jones Jr. So I think this is a 1930s model. Now these putters, like the Bennies, were produced for actually many, many decades, and in fact right up until comparatively recently, and who knows, they might be being produced even in the world today. So there are ways that you can date these. I'm not exactly sure, but I think this is a 1930s model. But someone out there who knows about these things in depth might be saying, well, it's maybe a little bit later. Now, often they have 3 bands of shaft whipping here. This one actually has, again, you can just say there on the grip, it says A.G. Spalding, made in Great Britain. The original Calamity Jane, if I remember rightly, was picked up by Bobby Jones second hand, and in fact had a Robert Condy cleat mark. So really, when we're saying that's a Calamity Jane, it's in terms of the shape of the putter, not necessarily, because the original Calamity Jane was indeed a rustless, a mild steel, where this is a stainless steel. Anyway, that's it in this video, and I hope you enjoy it. And if you have any observations or queries, please drop me a line or comment on the video. And thank you for watching, and please press the like button. Thanks, bye.